Welcome to today's explainer. I want you to imagine for the next few minutes that I'm stepping into the role of your virtual financial advisor. If you're a small business owner, a freelancer, or self-employed, you've likely felt the absolute weight of having to figure out everything on your own, especially your financial future. Well, today we're going to look at how to bridge the massive retirement gap that self-employed individuals face. We're going to uncover a retirement secret that can completely transform your financial trajectory.
So here's the core problem we really need to address. When you work for a massive corporation, the path to retirement is practically handed to you on a silver platter, right? On your first day, HR gives you a packet, you check a little box, and boom, you have a 401k. The whole system is built to make sure you save. But what if you don't have an HR department? Self-employed folks are entirely on their own. There's no automatic enrollment, there's no HR rep knocking on your door, and because of this, so many hardworking entrepreneurs completely miss out on building the wealth they absolutely deserve.
To really see this disparity in action, let's look at a quick case study comparing two people who earn the exact same income. Over on one side, we have Sarah. She works in a corporate office and contributes to her employer-sponsored 401k. Her path is clear, it's automated. On the other side, we have Mike. Mike owns a small landscaping business. He's got a truck full of equipment and, honestly, a pile of receipts sitting on his dashboard. Both Sarah and Mike want to retire comfortably, obviously. But while Sarah is steadily building her nest egg on autopilot, Mike feels totally left behind. If you were in Mike's shoes, feeling like the system just wasn't built for you, this explainer is going to change that.
Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the small business retirement gap. Second, we'll meet the SEP IRA. Third, its 3 big financial wins. Fourth, rules for your team. And finally, we'll compare the SEP IRA to the solo 401k.
Let's start with Section 1, the small business retirement gap and the real cost of waiting.
Putting off your retirement savings simply because you lack a convenient corporate plan isn't just a minor oversight. It comes with a severe financial cost. It is incredibly easy to say, you know what, I'll start saving next year when things finally settle down. But mathematically, waiting is the absolute most expensive mistake a business owner can make. Take Investor A. They save $20,000 a year for 25 years. Assuming an average 7% return, they end up with a massive $1.27 million. Now let's look at Investor B. They save the exact same $20,000 a year and they get the exact same 7% return. But they decided to wait just 10 years before starting. Because they delayed, their money only had 15 years to compound, leaving them with roughly $540,000. Think about that. That 10-year delay literally cost them over $700,000 in compound growth. Time is your greatest asset in retirement planning, and as a business owner, you just cannot afford to wait.
Moving on to Section 2. Meet the SEP IRA, your new wealth-building tool. Now that we understand the very real cost of doing nothing, I'm thrilled to transition to the actual solution. If you're self-employed, this account is essentially the ultimate wealth-building tool at your disposal. It's the key to creating your own corporate-level retirement plan entirely without the corporate-level headache. So, what is it? SEP IRA stands for Simplified Employee Pension Individual Retirement Account. Now please, do not let that incredibly long, bureaucratic name intimidate you. The concept is wonderfully simple. Just think of a SEP IRA as a retirement account designed specifically for small businesses and self-employed workers. And the absolute best part? It offers remarkably easy setup and very, very low administrative costs. You don't need a massive HR team to maintain it, and the paperwork is incredibly minimal.
So who can actually use this thing? Well, almost any self-employed person. It's ideal for freelancers, consultants, realtors, contractors, gig workers, and small business owners. If you generate self-employment income, you likely qualify. And here is an absolutely vital piece of the mechanics to understand. In a SEP IRA, the employer is the one who makes the contributions. If you're a one-person business, you are both the employer and the employee. That means you have the full power to contribute to your own account and reap every single benefit.
To vividly illustrate how versatile this really is, let's contrast two very different business owners. Meet Jessica. She's a solo freelance graphic designer making $80,000 a year designing logos. Since she obviously doesn't have a boss to provide a 401k, she uses a SEP IRA to build her own retirement nest egg. It fits her agile, single-operator business perfectly. On the other hand, we have Tom. Tom owns a local bakery with 3 employees. Instead of dealing with the high costs and red tape of a complicated corporate plan for his staff, he sets up a SEP IRA. It is perfectly tailored for both Jessica's solo operation and Tom's small crew.
All right, Section 3. Let's break down the 3 big financial wins. Financial advisors absolutely love recommending this account because it is a highly leveraged tool. We aren't just talking about a basic run-of-the-mill savings account here. We're talking about a powerful vehicle that provides three massive, distinct benefits to your bottom line. Win number one, huge contribution limits. A SEP IRA allows you to save significantly more than a standard traditional or Roth IRA. Your contribution is generally based on a percentage of your compensation, and those limits are incredibly high. Take Maria, for example. She runs a consulting business and earns $120,000 a year. If she decides to contribute 20% of her income, she shelters a massive $24,000 in a single year. There's no way you're doing that with a standard IRA. It gives high-income earners a serious runway to build wealth fast.
Win number two, major tax savings. Every single dollar you put into a SEP IRA is typically tax deductible. Let's walk step by step through how this legally lowers your current year taxes. Look at David. Step 1. David earns $100,000. Step 2. He contributes $15,000 to his SEP IRA. Step 3. His new taxable income instantly drops to $85,000. David is literally paying taxes on less money today, keeping more capital in his own ecosystem while simultaneously funding his future self. It is a massive win-win.
And win number 3, tax-deferred growth. People often ask me, what is actually inside a SEP IRA? The best analogy is to think of it as simply a protective container. Inside that container, you can hold almost anything: stocks, bonds, mutual funds, low-cost index funds, or ETFs. And while your money is inside this protective bubble, your investments grow, dividends accumulate, and interest compounds entirely without annual taxes dragging down your returns. You generally only pay the taxes decades later when you finally withdraw the money in retirement.
Let's move to Section 4, Rules for your team, and specifically the matching rule.
Now, we do need to shift focus slightly to the mechanics of compliance. If you're a solo operator with absolutely no employees, this won't impact you right now. But if you have staff, there is one crucial compliance rule you absolutely must understand before opening this account: the matching rule. And trust me, it is strictly enforced. If you contribute a certain percentage of your compensation for yourself, you must generally contribute that exact same percentage for all of your eligible employees. For example, if your salary is $100,000 and you give yourself a 10% contribution, which is $10,000, you must give your eligible employees a 10% contribution based on their salaries as well. You cannot give yourself 20% and then turn around and give your team 5%. The percentage has to be consistent across the board.
Section 5. The SEP IRA versus the solo 401k. Choosing your plan.
As your business evolves, you might find yourself facing a choice between different retirement plan types. The two heavyweights for self-employed individuals are the SEP IRA and the solo 401k. Let's walk through this decision matrix together. First, contribution source. In a SEP IRA, only the employer contributes. In a solo 401k, you can actually contribute as both the employer and the employee through salary deferrals. Next up, catch-up contributions for those 50 and older are allowed in a solo 401k, but not in a SEP. Third, employees. The SEP IRA allows you to have employees, while the solo 401k is strictly for businesses with no employees other than a spouse. And finally, solo 401ks often allow you to take loans against your balance, whereas SEP IRAs do not.
So how do you actually decide? Well, I would advise you to strongly consider choosing the solo 401k if you have absolutely zero employees and you plan to keep it that way. Because it allows for employee salary deferrals, it has a distinct technical advantage. You can often reach the maximum IRS contribution limits with a much lower overall business income than you would need in a SEP IRA. It's also a very smart choice if you're over 50 and need those catch-up contributions, or if having access to a loan against your retirement funds just gives you some peace of mind.
On the flip side, you should choose the SEP IRA if you want maximum simplicity. The SEP IRA often wins purely on the ease of management. If you want a plan with low administrative costs, an incredibly easy setup, and minimal paperwork, this is your winner. Furthermore, if you have a small team, just like Tom's Bakery, and you want to provide a retirement benefit for them without the massive headache of a full corporate 401k rollout, the SEP IRA is unquestionably the superior choice.
To bring all of these concepts together, I want to leave you with one final, inspiring, real-world case study. Let's look at Robert. Robert is a 40-year-old self-employed plumber. His business is doing great, and he earns $150,000 a year. Recognizing the tax benefits and that incredible power of compound growth we discussed earlier, Robert decides to aggressively fund a SEP IRA, contributing $25,000 annually.
Here is the ultimate result of that single decision. By investing that $25,000 every single year and assuming a conservative average 7% return, Robert builds a staggering $1.5 million nest egg by the time he reaches age 65. Because he chose to use a tool designed specifically for his situation, he transformed his hard-earned plumbing income into deep, lasting financial security. Now, as your virtual financial advisor today, I do have to deliver a quick, necessary disclaimer. The numbers, limits, and percentages we've discussed are foundational, but specific IRS rules and contribution limits change every single year. It is always a smart move to consult with a qualified tax professional or financial advisor before making any major decisions, just to ensure you're maximizing the rules for the current tax year. But listen, the core philosophy remains completely unchanged. The absolute greatest value proposition of the SEP IRA is summarized in this idea. Turn today's business income into tomorrow's financial freedom. Many self-employed folks mistakenly believe that comfortable retirements are reserved exclusively for corporate employees. This account proves that is entirely false. You absolutely have the tools available to build incredible wealth on your own terms.
Which brings us to our final thought. The cost of waiting is just too high, and the tools are way too accessible to ignore. You don't need an HR department to build a secure future. You just need to take the first step. So, I'll leave you with this. Are you ready to stop waiting and start building your own retirement? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and here's to building your financial future.